Namaskar. I'm Dr. Nadini Avinash Wagmare, working as an associate professor at Tirak Maharashtra Vidyapeeth. Today, our topic is related to Delhi Sultan Shahi, or we can also say the Delhi Sultanate. Very briefly, just highlighted in this lecture regarding the rulers and their achievements and their conquest, as well as means to just birds. Uh, uh, I viewpoint of your briefly, very briefly information given in this lecture. So, what was the condition of India at the time of invention of Muhammad Ghazni and Muhammad Ghori? India was politically divided into several kingdoms, that is Multan, Sindh, Kashmir, Hindusai, Kannauj, Bengal, Malwa, Gujarat, Bundelkhand, and the kingdoms of Chalukyas and Cholas in south when the Muhammad Ghazni invaded India. The primary weakness of the Rajput was that they fought against one another and failed to unite against a common enemy, that is foreign aggressor Muhammad Ghazni or Muhammad Ghor. Some text they are mentioned Ghor or some text they are mentioned Ghori. So especially we consider as a Muhammad Ghazni and Muhammad Ghori. Casteism, lower status of women, several social evils like sati, polygamy, child marriage, etc. had weakened the Indian society. So deterioration in religion and morals, particularly among the educated and ruling class, had also weakened the society. There was deterioration in culture as well. So these are the few. So there is no unity, caste among themselves fighting, and there is no political strongness. So in this period, Muhammad Ghazni Ghori on India. So Indians had not improved their arms and fighting tactics and mostly fought defensive wars. The one primary cause of weakness of India was they did not try to learn from what was happening or from the improvement made in neighboring countries in political, military, social, religion, and cultural fields. Economically, India was rich, though the wealth was concentrated in the hands of the upper classes and in temples. When Muhammad Ghazni or Ghori attacked India, there was no remarkable change in the condition of India except changes in the ruling dynasties and territories of their kingdoms, and that a large number of Muslims had settled in many parts of India peacefully. Therefore, the Indians, Rajputs, were defeated against Muhammad Ghazni and Muhammad of Ghori. Then Muhammad was a born commander, good judge of human nature, empire builder, educated, cultured, patron of scholars, artist, and Jews, the ruler. During his rule, Ghazni became a beautiful city and the center of Islamic scholarship, fine arts, and culture. But Muhammad was fanatic Muslim and intolerant towards the Hindus and even the Shia Muslims. Muhammad was greedy of wealth. He wanted to more and more wealth, and he built his state stronghold, looted from other nations, and kept his state strong and wealthy one. So his greatest weakness, however, was that he was neither a good administrator nor a constructive and far-sighted statesman. Yet he was a great Muslim ruler. But in the history of India, Muhammad was fanatic Sunni Muslim, bandit, plunderer, and a destroyer of fine arts. It is wrong to say that he left no permanent impact on the Indian society. On the contrary, he broke up the economy and military strength of the Indians and their moral to resist Turk invaders and destroy the Hindu Shakti kingdom, thereby paving the way for the conquest of India by the Turks. Muhammad of Ghori started his attacks on India in 1175, was repeated twice in India, but finally completed his conquest of North by 1206 when he died. Muhammad's desire to finish his hereditary enemy, Ghaznavi's ruler, and to some extent lust for wealth, propagation of Islam were reason for his attacks on India. But the primary cause of his attacks was his desire to create an extensive empire, and as he advanced towards the west was checked by Warizm Shah, he had no other alternative except to proceed towards the east, that is India. Muhammad of Ghori deserves a place in Indian history because, in fact, he was the founder of Turkish or Muslim rule in India, which affected seriously the future course of Indian history. Factors which lead to the establishment Turkish ascendancy in northern India. The Turks, the invention of Muhammad Ghazni and Ghori, established Turkish rule in India. Several factors were responsible for the success of the Turks against the Rajput, namely the failure of Rajput rulers to combine their resources with one another against foreign invaders, and prevalence of feudal system among them consisted their political weakness. Caste system, practice of untouchability, exist of several social evils concerning women like the system of sati, Devdasi, etc. constitute social weakness of Indians. Deterioration in religion was also a weakness of the Indians, and which led to the establishment of northern Turkish as northern. Deterioration morality culture was also their weakness. So India was a prosperous country, yet economic disparity among its people constituted its weakness. The wrong ideal of Indians of fighting battles and failures of improvement in their weapons. Fighting tactics constitute the primary military weakness and primary cause of defeat of the Indians. While Islam provided an emotional ideal of the Turks, the Indians lacked the ideal to fight against foreign invaders. Then what were the result of this on society? The successful attacks of the Turks in the 11th and 12th centuries under the leadership of Muhammad Ghazni and Muhammad Ghori were primarily cause of the establishment of Delhi Sultanship. When Muhammad Ghori died, his weak successor failed to keep the unity of empire. Qutbuddin Aibak, one of the nobles of Ghori in India, was felt with no choice except to create an independent state in India. He did it and thus was established the Delhi Sultanate or Delhi Sultan Shah. Aibak separated the Delhi Sultanate from the politics of Asia and made it free from the sovereignty of the ruler of Ghor. Iltutmish finished Taj-ud-Din eldest Nasiruddin Kabacha and his two principal rivals assumed the title of Sultan, got its recognition from Khalifa, and thus gave the Delhi Sultanate status of sovereign state, legally as well as in practice. The establishment of Delhi Sultanate affected northern India in several ways. Feudal system in administration was given up. A strong centralized administration was established under different sultans, and uniform administrative structure was established in large parts of northern India. Jaduna Sarkar has stated that India revived its relation with other Asian countries and African in economic and cultural fields, which helped in the growth of trade, industry, financial well-being of Indians, and in matters of dress, food, culture, literature, and other field lifestyle also. Besides Hindus and Muslims, both studied Persian language. Cultural synthesis took place between the two madrasas were open for the education of Muslims and caste system of and untouchability received setback. So the Turks' impact on society also under that madrasa started here in India. Then the military organization, fighting tactics, arms improvement, cavalry also was better organized and its mobility was increased. It all made the Indian Army one of the finest armies in Asia, which successfully made the onslaughts of the Mongols during the rule of Alauddin Khilji. The cultural synthesis between the Hindus and the Muslims also took place during this period. Then slave dynasty. The famous personalities Qutbuddin Aibak. As Muhammad Ghori had no son, his empire was divided by his powerful governors and most of his Indian provinces were taken over by Qutbuddin Aibak. Aibak was slave of Muhammad Ghori and was given important post because of his useful services and was assigned the charge of his Indian conquest after the Second Battle of Tarai in 1192. He consolidated and extended the conquest of Sultan Muhammad. When Muhammad died, he assumed the sovereign powers at Lahore after being invited by its citizens. Ghiyasuddin, who had declared himself Sultan at Ghor, conferred on Aibak title of Sultan, but Aibak assumed only the title of Malik. Then Qutbuddin had faced several difficulties after the ascendant as the throne of Delhi. His Turkish officers could be jealous of his powers. Rajputs were consisting against the Turks. Yildiz, his father-in-law, had occupied Ghazni and was claiming suzerainty over the Indian territory of Sultan Muhammad. Kubacha, the ruler of Bhuj, and was also ambitious to capture Delhi, and the Persian ruler Farizb Shah, who desired to capture Ghazni, would also lay his claim over the kingdom of Delhi. Aibak's successor dealt with all these difficulties. Aybak strengthened his position among his Turkish nobles at Lahore and Delhi, persuaded Kubacha to accept his claim over Delhi, forced Elvis to turn back when he attacked Punjab and even occupied Ghazni for 40 days, placed Ali Mardan on the throne of Bengal and defended his independent position. While playing horse polo, he fell from his horse and Aybak died in 1110. Aybak was the real founder of Turkish rule in India because he was primarily responsible for the conquest and consolidation of Indian territories of Sultan Muhammad saved his kingdom from the politics of Central Asia and provided separate and independent status to the Delhi Sultanate. Aybak was capable commander, seasoned soldier, diplomatic and practical ruler, and just a genius individual. He patronized scholars like Hassan Nizami and Fakhri Mudhir and built two mosques, one at Delhi known as Quwwat ul Islam and other al Azmir known as the Dhai Din Ka Jhopra. But Aibak was not a good administrator, could not free Delhi free from the claim of sovereignty by the rulers of Ghazni, but failed to provide security to it. Yet Aibak was the founder of Turkish rule in India because he paved the way for the independence of the Delhi Sultanate. Then after him, successor Iltutmish was the slave of Aibak, rose to the position of governor of Daune by his merit and was married to the daughter of Aibak. When Aibak died, Sipa Salar Amir Ali invited him to assume the reins of government after getting consent from the citizen and Turkish nobles of Delhi. Iltutmish went to Delhi, became its ruler in 1211 and defeated Aram Shah, son of Aibak. Iltutmish had to face again several problems related to state. Yildiz claimed sovereignty over Multan, Lahore, Batinda, Ali Mardan Khan declared himself the independence in Bengal and Bihar. Several Rajput rulers, like those of Ranthambore, Gwalior, Ajmer, reasserted independent states. The Mongols returned the Delhi Sultanate, and by that time, the Delhi Sultanate was not a unified kingdom. Iltutmish initially proceeded to recognize sovereignty of Yildiz, but when being turned out by Farizm Shah from Ghazni, he came to Lahore and Iltutmish defeated and killed him. Then Jalaluddin, the Fatigu prince of Persia, being hotly pursued by Genghis Khan Mongol, came to India and sought the support of the Iltutmish, who refused him shelter and thus saved the Delhi Sultanate from the wrath of the powerful Mongols. Iltutmish attacked Kubacha, forced him to drown himself in the river Indus and occupied both Multan and Bichur. Iltutmish repeatedly attacked Bengal, succeeded in defeating Ghiyasuddin and Balkana Khan, respectively, and occupied Bengal and Bihar. Iltutmish succeeded in recapturing the lost territories of Delhi's Sultanate from the Rajput rulers of Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, and Awadh. The Caliph of Baghdad granted Iltutmish the title of Sultan in 1229, which secured the succession of his children on the throne of Delhi. Iltutmish fell ill and died in 1236. Then Iltutmish was a cultured person, patronized scholars, introduced Persian customs at his court, beautified Delhi, built several buildings, including the Qutub Minar, did not consult the ulama every time on the matters of state policy, was an experienced commander, and was a diplomatic statesman. He was to introduce Tanka and Jital system. According to Nizami, he says that he was responsible for the administrative setup of Ikta and the maintenance army of the Sultan. Iltutmish succeeded in killing both the Aldis and Kubacha, claimed sovereignty over Delhi and Delhi free from the Mongols. Then another ruler is Rajia Sultan. Rajia as a ruler, the incompetence of Firoj and the revolt of governors of Multan, Hasmi, Lahore, Badun provide Rajia the opportunity to capture the throne with the consent of the citizens nobles of Delhi. Razia decided to keep the real power of the state in her own hands, which brought her in conflict with the group of 40. The revolting governors, who even after the reposition of Firoz had reached Delhi, were divided and defeated by Razia. Razia aimed at making the noble super servant to the throne, and for that purpose made fresh appointments, raised royal nobles to higher posts, started dressing herself in male attire, left Parda, and went for hunting and horse riding. Razia refused to help the Subedar of Ghazni against the Mongols and thereby saved her kingdom from the coming in conflict with the Mongols. Then, but the group of 40 could not tolerate the assumption of the power of by Razia. and started a conspiring against her from the third year of her reign. Kabir Khan, the governor Rahul, revolted in 1240 but was defeated. But very soon Malik Altunia, Governor Batinda, revolted. When Razia was besieging the fort of Batinda, the nobles conspired against her, imprisoned her, and raised Bahram to the throne at Delhi. Razia married Malik Altunia, who did not receive any important post under the new regime, then attacked Delhi. Razia and Altunia were defeated, fled away, and were murdered by some Hindu near Kaitani in October 1240. Razia was a tough soldier, capable commander, and diplomatic ruler, and pursued the permanent interest of the state in right earnest. Her failure was not because she was a woman or her popularity had decreased among the people of Delhi. The primary cause of her failure was the ambition of the group of 40 nobles who desired to keep a puppet sultan on the throne, while Razia refused to be one and, on the contrary, attempt to concentrate all powers of the state in her own hands. Then after that, by the Balban ascended the throne of Delhi, the power and prestige of Sultan was completely lost, which he tried to revive during his reign by several means. Balban proposed the divine theory of kingship and declared that monarchy was divinely orderly. Balban claimed his ascendant from the Turkish hero Afrasiab, gave up drinking wine and pleasure parties, kept himself aloof from others, never expressed unusual joy or sorrow in public, never laughed or gave a smile while in the court, framed new rules of court behavior, kept fearsome bodyguards, and held the court with great pomp and show. The theory of kingship upheld by the Balban. Balban humiliated or got killed in the remaining members of the 40 and thus destroyed the group. Balban brutally suppressed the revolt of the Tughril Khan, governor of Bengal, with a view to terrorizing other nobles and governors. Balban succeeded in restoring the power and prestige of the Sultan, but in doing so, he destroyed the power of the entire Turkish nobility, which was the source of strength for him and his family. Then achievements of Balban as a king. After his succession, Balban tried to restore lost power and prestige of the Sultan and provide security to the Delhi Sultanate. Balban proposed the divine theory of kingship, claimed honorable descent, assumed the dignity of Sultan, strict court behavior, either humiliated or killed remaining members of the party. Balban did not engage himself wars of aggression, preferred consolidate the territory of Delhi Sultan. When Tughril Khan, governor of Bengal, revolted, Balban suppressed his revolt brutally. Balban built a chain of 40 in the northwest, kept Sher Khan, and afterwards his sons sent strong contingents of soldiers to defend his fortress from the attacks of the Mongols succeeded him. Balban died in 187. So here finished the uh, slave dynasty, but some historian given a different opinion about that. Srivastava subscribed his view and have expressed that he succeeded in restoring the prestige of their sultanate, consolidating the territory of Delhi Sultanate, and safeguarding it from the menace of the Mongols. Though, of course, he failed to provide a firm base of the rule of his dynasty. Then these are the references you can refer for more study. That is K. Nilkanti Shastri study in Chola history, administrative system of actually V.D. Mahajan book, Satish Chandra book, you can refer for more study.